Starting the live.
Starting the live. So the live is probably live.
It might be.
How you doing, Mr. Sexy Man?
Tired, but very happy.
What are you tired of? What are you tired about?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm getting old because I don't know if I have anything to be tired of.
You're definitely getting old.
Right, so
Yeah.
then maybe that's why I'm tired.
Okay.
I think...
We cannot start a show off being tired and dead and dreary, so...
Oh, I'm not dead or
let's
dreary.
get all cheerful and happy and lively. Now you're blue. In your blue, sir.
In my blue.
Yeah, so what have you been doing for the last week?
Today being Tuesday, I guess Tuesday and Wednesday I was, what do you call that? I was shooting a conference for the SBDC, and then I was in Montego Bay, Jamaica with this beautiful lady named Calibe Thompson.
Oh, sounds exciting.
We were doing work for Jamaicans.com / Jamaica Tourist Board / Island Origins /
So good evening if you're just joining us. Welcome to Island Origins Live. As you can tell, we have scaled back. Excuse me, I know I'm choking. We normally have a big fancy production, including water and wine and 3 cameras. But we're scaling back a little bit. You know, after the week we've had in Jamaica, if you were following us, we need a little, we need a little scale back and a little break. So, thank you for tuning in, first of all. And David, I see questions coming in. Are there those comments?
These are good evenings and stuff like that.
Good evening. Good
Yes.
evening. So, so we're going back to the basics today. It's just me and you.
Before we go any further,
Yes,
did
okay.
you check the microphone? And can everyone who's watching just make sure that...
Oh boy. Did somebody say that? they
No,
couldn't
I
hear
just
us?
thought it was an obvious thing to check at this point. So no.
Maybe they...
So good evening, everybody. I don't know what you heard or didn't hear, but if you can hear, give us a thumbs up or something.
Yeah, maybe they were hearing all the way.
Let's see.
They would have said that they couldn't hear.
Well, you hear now?
Well,
No. I just watched you make the switch. So.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
Whatever.
Our media wasn't.
Hopefully, yes.
If you're just hearing us, welcome to Island Origins Live. So David, we just spent a week in Jamaica. You were saying earlier, I don't know if everybody could hear you, but technical issues when you don't have a production crew. Compliments of Jamaicans.com and the Jamaica Tourist Board. We just spent 4, I'm going to say very exciting, educational, yes, but very exhausting days in Jamaica. It was a lot. What was your highlight of the week that we were there?
Wow. You know, it's so interesting. Like, there's so many different things I could say was my highlight, but so I'm going to pick 2. Sorry if it's more than you were looking for.
No, man.
But the highlight, well, no, I have to say 3, sorry. All right, so here are my highlights.
Yes.
Food is always on a highlight, so I don't want to emphasize the food, but that was one of my highlights.
Okay.
The other 2 highlights I thought, which were
Which food though? Go into detail one time.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to the food
Okay.
last.
Okay.
So for me, David, the sexy man,
Yes, the sex.
I want to tell you that for me, I think I really, really enjoyed learning. And so for me, I was learning a few different things. So the learning was a big plus for me. Learning about places in Jamaica I'd never been to or knew about, or learning more about them, I thought was really exciting. And then the other thing that I thought was really exciting was, I have this thing about photography. I really get excited about getting a great shot. And I really felt like I got a great shot. I felt like having the opportunity to get a really great picture is just so exciting. So, but I'm going to return now to the things that I thought were really important in terms of learning. Like, for example, I am known as a still photographer. What about the drinks? Sean, I don't really drink, so I can't tell you. Did I have a drink anywhere?
You did.
When? I think I tried
You
it.
tasted the rum.
I tasted.
You did the
Oh,
rum
right,
tasting.
rum tasting. The rum was nice.
You did
What
the
was the
rum
name of the rum
tasting.
again?
It wasn't Rumfire. It was.
No.
Was it Rumfire or the Gold at
Gold.
Hamden Estate?
Hampden.
But I chuckled a while ago because you said, what did you say when I chuckled? I forget. I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Anyway, go ahead.
But no, for real. So for me, like, I literally actually enjoyed learning shooting video because I don't shoot video, I shoot stills, and I was shooting video, and it was kind of new and kind of exciting, and kind of felt like work, which I don't like. I don't like work. I like fun. But in the learning part of shooting the video, I had a good time. Actually, I'm very excited about things that can come out of video. By the way, I have a video job for us, which I have to tell you about that we got today.
Okay. I have a website job I just got first that we got today.
Excellent.
We're working.
We are working.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so really the learning, going to the National Gallery West was a highlight for me. I was thrilled with the work on display. I was literally
the Rastafari exhibit.
all of it. That's a museum as well as a gallery before it. I was so proud to see that they really had like a real solid collection of art that we should be supremely proud about. So that was really, really good for me. I also, even though I did get slightly injured, I did enjoy my zip line experience.
I hated it.
I did also like...
I am just going to put it out there. I hate it.
I like the zip lining. So for those who are into what they call
adventure and thrill seeking,
I'm on
and who are not afraid of heights. If you're afraid of heights, don't do it.
It was really, really pretty awesome. I mean, listen, there's so many things in the experience part, the new things, even as simple as the lazy river ride on the Martha Brae. That was really awesome.
That's where you were, the Martha Brae? When you put your Speedo on?
When I put my Speedo on. And
we didn't get the live Speedo video.
And we
have no evidence at this point that there was actually a Speedo involved, David.
Right. But honestly, it went really well because the tour guide, he had terrible jokes, but he had great information and it was really interesting. So it was... All in all,
was he one of those corny people that you have to laugh because it's so corny? Okay.
Absolutely, he was extremely corny, but it was really relaxing. I loved hearing about, like he said, there's two types of bamboo in Jamaica. There's the Indian and I guess the Chinese bamboo. So he said that the Chinese bamboo is a really small one. Hey,
have you had your big bamboo? I remember that.
Right. So, but all of that, it was cool. It was great to hear and get all of the details. Like for example, when we were meandering down that Martha Brae gently, there's a bar that we passed under, and the bartender threw Heineken. Oops, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. They threw Heinekens into the water, and we drank the Heineken. It was so many parts of it that was so much just cool fun.
I didn't get Heineken.
You didn't come on the ride.
That's not the point. That's not the point.
Yeah, there was like...
I'm gonna say we got an inordinate amount of jerk chicken.
Oh, yeah, well, it's Jamaica.
No, I get that, but offer me a festival or something. We got a festival.
They don't know what you get elsewhere, so everybody's giving the authentic
Assume
Jamaican
we all
thing.
got jerk chicken from everywhere all the time. Because that's what happened. For me, I think... almost I don't want to say everything was a highlight because that's corny. But from the day I arrived the day before you.
Yes.
And so from that very first day, I was, introduced to the guest services manager whose name was Billy Love. And Billy Love sang us all a song. So if you look at the past videos on Jamaicans.com, I think that one has like 8,000 views or something. But he was just a character, and he talked about the characters that were on the property. And we met quite a few of them. We stayed at a place called Secrets Montego Bay.
Secrets Wild Orchid.
Secrets Wild Orchid, my apologies. So they have two properties. There are Secrets Wild Orchid and Secrets St. James. Apparently St. James is the superstitious, expialidocious one. But we stayed at Wild Orchid. There were but you could walk this entire property, and so before you got there, I don't know if you ever bucked up into the coconut man and the jerk chicken man and the parrots that were out there. Like, it was just a nice, lazy walk along the properties. It's four different buildings, so it was pretty expansive. You could see the ocean from every angle in your room, or, wherever it was. So that was a highlight for me, just the experience of the hotel, the welcoming, once you reach Jamaica, they're giving you a rum punch and all that nice stuff. And then after that, I think one of my favorite days was with the Rasta indigenous village.
Rastafari.
Yeah, I think that's
indigenous village.
Oh, that's why I had laughed. You said you got a picture.
First man, big up.
Big up First Man. That was somebody's name, by the way. First, they had First Man. You had Queen Behati. I forget Queen B. Not Beyonce. You had Itiba. You had Toto, the drum maker. I mean, just the characters that you meet everywhere along these trips. It was hilarious, and it's so funny. Everybody's afraid of the camera, right? Nobody wants to be on camera until they're on camera, and then everybody just loves the camera. So we ended up having these interesting interactions with a number of different characters. But the people up at the Rastafari indigenous village, I think, were just the most, I don't want to say the most authentic, but for me, the most interesting and engaging. The most off the beaten path, or the people that I would never probably book up in real life. Although I have locks, I'm not a Rasta, as many people will know. But just to meet people who actually wear burlap, they wear a crocus bag. They make their soap from scratch. They have the marijuana plants, and it's now been, decriminalized. So it's X number of plants per adult or whatever. So they have the 1 and 2 marijuana plants that they have on the property proudly now that they can show and share. They made us cocoa from scratch. So the beans, Iwin showed us how to roast the cocoa beans and husk off the shells, and actually he had somebody with a mortar and pestle actually beating the cocoa. And from the cocoa that they beat that day, we actually drank the hot chocolate. He made it with the herbs that they picked from the garden the same morning, and sweetened it with honey, and made it with coconut milk. So you're really getting like authentic, natural elements. And the other one for me was Rasna Tango. So I guess Saturday was my favorite day.
Definitely, apparently so.
Yeah, man.
So yeah. Rasna Tango, that's interesting that you thought he was. What about him? Are you really met his wife?
Both of them.
Okay.
The both of
Tell
them.
me, what about Rasna Tango made your day?
He reminds me of my friend Sydney Roberts for some reason.
Sydney, Calibe officially doesn't love you.
I love him so much. No, man. Rasna Tango, he had he has a look of Sydney, and he even has a little bit of a voice of Sydney for some reason to me. But he said, he done the interviews and we sat there and we had a nice conversation, and he said, boy, something about your spirit connected, something about my spirit connected with him so that he was comfortable to do it. So I don't know what that thing is.
I understand. You like the compliment.
Anyway, so no, but he was just a very humble spirit. He talked about his struggle. I think I like the story, He went up into the bush and saw this piece of land with a view and bought it without asking his wife anything. And of course they cussed about it and whatever, but they already owned the piece of land. And when they, bushed it out, we would say in Jamaica, when they cleared out the bush, they realized that it was a straight cliff face. So they actually started cutting into the cliff and building up on top of this cliff. And over years, they hacked away into the mountainside and did all these terraces. And he did that part. She did the planting of all these, beautiful plants and flowers and what have you. And it's become a source of commerce and industry for the entire community.
Yeah. It's a good vibes, for sure. And they're definitely great people. I mean, for me, like, part of what I liked about Rasna Tango and his beautiful wife and their little vibes up there in the hills was that they feed these hummingbirds and have names for them and call them by their
right
name.
in your hand.
And they come and they pitch on you, and I mean, it's Like that's the kind of stuff that made that interesting.
Yeah.
And then I also like the fact that all of these things that we're talking about, particularly like you're saying, Saturday, the Rastafari Indigenous Village and Rasnatango's art gallery and gardens,
Yes.
they are things built from nothing. They literally came from nothing and have built something that's a sustainable business, something that's building a community, something that's literally giving tourists and people, even of Jamaican descent and people who live in Jamaica, something to do in Jamaica. And it's really just great that people have just taken their initiative to create something that can generate income, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, he, part of his story that I liked as well is that he had come up from where, I forget which parish they were in before, and he came to Montego Bay and was discovered by somebody at, I forget which resort it was.
Yeah, so he started painting.
Commissioned to paint for them, and ended up spending 4 years just painting, these lovely florals and cultural pieces for the hotel rooms, and ended up painting over 400 pieces for this hotel. At the end of that, he said a busload of tourists just came up to his place one day looking for his gallery. And out of that, you're right, that's that spirit of ingenuity that we have in Jamaica. And, out of that sprung his own business, and a business that now sustains like 12 people in the community. They said that they are the major source of commerce in the community. They were voted, Hall of Famers in TripAdvisor Awards because they won like 7 total excellence awards and 5 in the last 5 years, something like that. So no, it was just really cool. I'm gonna do some shout outs. Plymouth, UK, Jan Craig, thank you so much for watching. Sean Farquharson, I am not impressed with you laughing at me and my zipline situation. I don't appreciate it. Adrian, Derek, Kay, Luke, all of you who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in.
Laverne, Anne-Marie, Jennifer, Michelle, Omar, Sophia.
Yes. And if you are watching the trip, if you have any questions or comments, what was your favorite part of seeing everything that was going on? Let us know about that as well. Did you have you talked about food.
Yes.
So what was your favorite?
My favorite food. I am a food lover, so I don't know that I would go down the favorite route from this trip. But there were some standout items. I mean, what's the name of the other? Wild Orchid? Secrets?
Wild Orchid, yeah,
Secrets Wild Orchid. They have a mean. I had it every day.
The fruit punch.
Fruit punch? Banana bread. You never see every time I go to the kitchen and take away banana bread. I had banana bread for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You did. You were actually addicted to that.
Oh my gosh, I love a banana bread. But their banana bread was exceptional.
But you also had the fruit punch for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, yeah, because I don't put sweet drinks in my house.
Right.
Because if I did, I would drink them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
So I keep only water, and I only drink water.
Right.
So when I'm out of the house, I'm going to play. So sweet drinks I will have, definitely. But it wasn't because they were exceptional. They were just good.
Okay.
The banana bread was exceptional. Okay. Additionally, what I thought was really good that I enjoyed was, and I'm not a steak lover, but man, I had a boss steak at that French restaurant. I went into the French restaurant expecting to enjoy the lamb, and the lamb was good. But my server, who was a really nice guy, decided to give me a little burrata, a little extra, like a bunununus on the side, and he brought that steak. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Adrian is asking if you brought us back any banana bread. No, Adrian,
Adrian, I'll tell you why I didn't.
Because he edits.
Honestly, no. So this was my strategy. For those who love food like me, you'll understand. Every time I got to the banana bread, I took a serving of banana bread for my meal, and I put aside a serving of banana bread for the rest of my day. So I took 4 slices with me every time I was leaving the restaurant. So I would have the server wrap it up in cellophane for me, and I would stick it in my camera bag, and as I needed it throughout the day, I would go into my banana bread.
You know, you never offered me a piece of banana
Well,
bread.
I only had 4
No,
pieces.
I give up.
No, but so here's the thing. So on the very last day, we were there and we were leaving on Sunday. I was gonna, of course, take my banana bread. Guess what them do? They never serve banana bread on Sunday.
Oh,
So I couldn't take any away for the airport where I could have offered you when you were hungry at the airport.
you weren't gonna offer me.
I could have offered you some banana bread, and I could have offered some to Adrian. Yeah, Adrian, I'm with you. I love, and listen, this was one of those banana bread that is literally,
It was awesome.
it was unbelievably awesome.
I don't have the capacity to have as much of anything as
Right.
David, but that banana bread was pretty awesome.
So I do have to mention a few other things that I had that was exceptional food-wise. So here,
You
David,
found exceptional?
David is an adventurer,
Yeah.
which you know.
Yeah.
So, for example, I had ackee and saltfish omelette, which had ackee and saltfish, callaloo, cheese, you know, all of the other normal things that I would put in a thing like mushroom and sweet pepper and so
I
on.
saw some pork in there too.
In the ackee
The
one?
omelette, yeah, no?
No, that was the other one. Remember, I did so I did another I did a couple of omelette attempts. They were actually quite exciting. So I did this. I had an amazing omelette created. There were a few people who were cooking for me. I like to interact with the people who serve me. So I would sort of develop these relationships. So this young lady was making omelettes for me, and I asked her to give it a try. So we on one day she did an omelette which I named after her, but then I took it a step further, and I said what I want us to do is to have the omelette in combination with other things. So we went beyond her omelette. So we did an omelette with like a sunny side egg on top as one of my omelettes. That was really exceptional. Like to have a runny sunny side.
You can imagine all of this happening while there's people in the line waiting for their omelets to be made.
No, I did not hold up any lines.
You're
I had my
people.
dialogue.
Uh-huh.
I stepped away and went to the other areas, picked up my other food items, and came back to collect. I didn't hang out blocking. I was not that kind of person.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, but no, so I thought that omelets were really good. I did also appreciate the flour dumpling. The boiled dumpling was good. The yam and cocoa was good as well.
You never had the bread pudding?
No, I didn't bother with the bread pudding.
That was
Was awesome?
It
Yeah, I
was.
missed out.
It was.
I missed out on bread pudding, and I didn't have a lot of things I usually have. Like I eat fruits every day at home.
Mm-hmm.
I even tell you, I cut up fruits like all the time. I didn't have much fruit.
I keep trying to steal them and then he kicks me out of his apartment.
Yeah, or I put lots of pawpaw in the fruit so she can't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, Adrian, ackee and sawfish omelette. I never heard of it, but I was there. They had ackee and sawfish. They had somebody making omelette, so I literally went to the station, served myself an ackee and sawfish, and then took it to the omelette station and said, "Make me an ackee and sawfish omelette."
Adrian, I think you should have your hubby make banana bread and just me and you eat it. And tell David that we had some slices in our bag, but alas, if we had known, if he had asked.
I like what you said, Adrian, for all of us.
You know, I keep starting this thought and not finishing it. Starting this thought and not finishing it. You said you got one picture on the trip.
Right.
As a photographer, I hear that, or a typical person. I know how you operate, but a typical person would hear that and be like, "What do you mean you got a picture? You were there for 3 days, 3.5 days, whatever, and you got a picture. What do you mean by that, Dave?
Okay, so let me explain. I'm a weirdo, so I do things a little bit different.
I
than other
concur.
people.
Sorry.
Yeah. No man, I confess, I am a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I take photography in different ways. So I do photography as a hobby. I do photography as an art form. I do photography as a business. So there are different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm excited about photography, it's typically because it's fulfilling either one of my art form or my hobby.
Mm-hmm.
When I do photography for business, I can't ever talk about one picture. I'll be fired.
Mm-hmm.
So ignore the work part. So now, while we were in Jamaica, I was working actually more, I would consider as a cinematographer or just somebody capturing video footage.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do a lot of pictures like I typically would. And in addition to that, I wasn't taking many pictures. I didn't see anything that sort of like excited me artistically about what I would be able to share with my audience or my work. So there was one particular moment where I was like uber excited about what I was seeing and what I was able to capture. So when I say I got one picture, it means I got one picture I think is good, worthy of being in an exhibition, something I can share with the public, something I can speak to what I experienced, something that I enjoyed, that's personal to me and artistically captured so that it shows the quality of my photography. That's what I think I mean by saying I got one picture.
I know. I just thought it was an interesting comment to make.
Cool.
All right, so I don't know if we should keep going about the trip because everybody can kind of watch
the
footage.
Go watch the footage. It's all here on Jamaicans.com.
Exactly.
Or go to Calibe's personal page and watch it.
You don't have to go there. You can go to Island Origins as well. At Island Origins, and all the videos have also been shared on that page. But how about we talk about some current hot topics of the day?
Yes.
If you don't mind.
Oh, let's do it.
All right. So I saw a newspaper today that said something about
the World Cup.
Not the World Cup, the other one.
That's a hot topic.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so I can't help you. Okay, this one. This one I found very interesting.
Aww, let's get into that. I can't imagine.
LGBT community still haunts Sizzler.
How?
No, because I think he's still banned from certain areas because of it. But I find it interesting the phrasing of that, right? They are haunting Sizzler is going, burn them, kill them, kill everybody, burn everybody, and they're the ones that are haunting.
Right, but of course, it's like you say, every story has three sides.
Yeah.
So from his perspective, or from the homophobic Jamaican from 1970 perspective, absolutely they're haunting Sizzler. Because if you don't accept that they're people and you don't accept that they are equal or that they don't have a value, then these ants or these whatever these vermin are, they're haunting this great human being. So if you have that perspective, then of course they're haunting Sizzler. But no, obviously in some sort of an objective reality, they're not haunting him. They're saying he is being hateful about them and their community, and so they want him not to have things easy. So they are intentionally making things difficult for him because he hates their community, and he speaks about having them die and having them So it's. I don't think they're haunting him. I think they're at war. Yeah. I think that's more accurate.
And I agree with that. It bothers me that we phrase things or look at things in this way. Whether your morality says one group is good or one group is bad, how do you condone someone talking about killing people or burning people or whatever, and then turn around and say the person who was saying that is being victimized by who they were kind of bullying? And I look at the situation that's happening now with we're all immigrants here. Were you born in this country?
No,
I'm not me. All right, and I cannot imagine. Right, I go home sometimes, and I'm a child of privilege. I think you're a child of privilege. I cannot imagine living in certain circumstances, like the things that we hear about, coming from South America and the families who have taken up themselves and decided to walk and sell everything that they have, and through the desert and the bushes and whatever to make it to America to save their lives and save their own children's lives. And our government has decided that it's fine to tear the children away from the parents. And then the people who have made that decision are now going, oh, why are you beating me up for following the law? You can't do something mean-spirited and evil and wicked and then turn around.
The mic is on the table, something don't want it.
Oh, no, sorry, they can still hear me. Yeah, you can't do something evil and wicked and mean-spirited and then turn around and be like, oh, why are you being mean to me for being mean-spirited and
Well, a lot of people with privilege don't recognize when they're being mean-spirited.
Right.
So, unfortunately for them, ignorance doesn't absolve them.
Right.
But a lot of times people with privilege say and do things and don't understand how condescending and how damaging their words can be. And by the way, for everyone who's watching, including Avery, Dwight, Denise, Mr. Minot, Christopher Wright, yes, big up, more JTB love. It's definitely sad. So if we're going to address that, this whole concept of, what is the right way to deal with immigration for this country? I am the worst person to ask because being an immigrant myself, I would say, open the borders. Fly the gate if you want a Jamaican. Right. Open the borders and let everybody in. Not everybody wants to come, but definitely a lot of people want to come. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't we accommodate them?
The argument is, and I've heard this from even Democrats and liberal people, they are coming in here and using up all our resources. They're a drain on our tax system, and their children are coming into our schools and getting our education, and we have to pay the teachers, and they're sucking all of the resources out of the country.
That's what they did when they got here. Because nobody is from here except maybe the Indians, and so...
I think because people were born here, they now feel like, and this is the funny part, right? The white people feel like not all white people, I'm gonna use some blanket terms, but the ones who are the nationalists, right? The white nationalists feel like they have the primary ownership stake in this country, right? I believe it should be the Native Americans who should have that.
Right.
But alas, they don't. They're made to feel like other as well.
Yeah.
Behind the white nationalists, you actually have some black people. I don't know if they're going to be called nationalists or what, but you have these other people who were born here, and they feel like, okay, well, I'm going to be like a step above you on the totem pole, or a step above you on whatever this social ladder is. And so they start to now go back and, no, this is my spot. I'm climbing up here in the middle of the ladder. Somebody's above me. The man is up there or whatever, but you're not going to come and overtake me. And it becomes almost this, I know as a Jamaican, I've had some blowback or pushback from Black Americans even, saying, why do you need to categorize yourself as Caribbean American and not African American? And I'm like, to me, that's a different culture altogether. We're all black. I'm black, right? You're black. But our culture, even down to things like food, like I'm going to eat ackee and saltfish and jerk chicken, you're going to eat, chitlins. If we're being stereotypical, right? The chitlins and the collard greens and whatever, that's your soul food. Our soul food is a different set of food. The music that we listen to is different. The way that we greet each other and interact with people is completely different. We all have manners. I will say that about black people. I found that you walk along the street and you don't know anybody, and black people will look you in the eye and nod and say hi, and white people for some reason are.
But okay. So I hear the dialogue. Yeah. I know I'm a weirdo, so I'm gonna just say my weirdo things. Like, I want to bring everybody along. I agree. I want to teach everybody and share with everybody, and I don't get the I don't get the greediness, like where it's like, oh, for me. Right. I have no part of me that wants to say hold on to anything from me, unless it's fruit out of my fridge. Or something that,
and I'm gonna sneak in there and
but my general policy is enjoy anything in my fridge.
But except the pineapple and the mango.
No, you're open to have a pineapple and mango, but I'm like, it may be just in a moment I would like, if I just cut up the pineapple and mango, I want to have some of it for myself.
Alright, but you're talking about sharing.
But yeah, like I genuinely feel like we should share everything, and sharing is great. So, right? You see my tan? What? Cut it, David have tan.
Yeah,
I think we just have less light today.
I heard I had too much vitamin D. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Adrian is saying, immigrants get the job done, and this is true so much of the time. I think I heard about some, I forget which city, but once they close the border off, there's like the farm work and the things that the immigrants will typically do has just fallen off into this abysmal hole in the ground.
Yeah. But I do think we should be careful about even saying things that are true, like immigrants get the job done, because it's going to cause people to feel offended. Like, oh, So if we don't get the job done, why is it just that immigrants get the job done? So we have to be careful about, even if it's
I think
mostly
there's context.
true.
It's not even true or false, and I think it's context. So the reality for many of us is, we come here and whatever the job is, right? It's not a matter of somebody else can't get the job done, but we take the jobs that people don't want. You know, the hotel cleaning and the cleaning up the old, you know, the older people who need to have diapers changed, you know, that kind of stuff. The nursing jobs, the field work, and the farming, the things that Americans will typically turn their noses up at, even well-educated people from the Caribbean. I remember shooting a pilot thing for Island Origins one time, and this woman who was a head of a department at some multinational company says to me on camera that when she moved from Barbados, I believe it was, right? She was a banker and she was young and she was, you know, she had her degree and she was doing all these great things in Barbados, and she was coming to America and she believed that the streets were paved in gold and it was the land of milk and honey. And she got here and the first thing she had to do was scrub people's toilets just because she needed to have a job. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that, you know, the Americans will often talk about immigrants coming here and wanting to live off welfare and all this kind of stuff. And we're proud, at least for the Caribbean people. I don't know, I can't speak for Mexicans or South Americans or Chinese or whatever. We are very proud people. I believe the Chinese and the Africans and everybody are the same thing. We want to work. We're not coming here to leech off of anybody. And Americans will, a lot of the time, take advantage of these, you know, social safety net things and then turn around and blame everybody else for leeching off the system, when I know that we will get the fake social security number and pay all kind of taxes that Americans, you know, born Americans don't want to do. So it burns me to get that bad rap. Hi, Guinness. Yes, we're back on. Greetings.
Yeah. And I don't like the rap, and I don't like the division between Black American and Caribbean. I think that's one of the most nonsensical divisions that exist. But I do understand that people have stuff in their feelings, and for what I can do is I ignore it. I just embrace everybody and I move forward as if we're not being pushed aside or marginalized in any way. Because at the end of the day, you know, the truth is, I mean, my belief of the truth anyway, is that the African Americans have been through a whole lot, and they've made it easier for us. Their pains, their sufferings, all of that took place in those years has made USA something more amenable for us, and I'll say for Afro-Caribbeans or Black Caribbeans or whatever it is. Their struggles have made things for us so much easier and so much better that even if they're a little snarky about us, I wish it weren't so, but I'm not going to hold too much against them because I know what they've had to go through that we actually do benefit from. You know, so I keep that context. I see a lot of comments here too, so we should look at what Miss Sian is saying. And hey G,
it's a bit of agreement. If you have any thoughts to throw in to stimulate a different line of conversation, please do that as well. Do you want to talk about some of these?
I'll just read what Sian says, because I thought this is interesting for you to say, Sian. The whole immigrant debate baffles me. In 32 years living in the U.S., you're over 32? I never met anyone besides a few Indians whose American heritage was more than 3 or 4 generations old. I find that comment extremely interesting. So you're saying, Sian, I want to make sure I get this clearly, is that you're saying that you've never met anyone? No, there's got to be some good old boy network that has more than 3 or 4 generations here.
Who knows?
Yeah, but I hear you, and I think this is valid. So if everybody is new, why does some people feel like they got this great claim to Americanness?
A lot of it is color-based. A lot of it is I was here first, and you're not going to climb past me. April makes the comment here. One of our prime ministers once made the statement that Jamaicans leave their palatial homes and have come to foreign countries to become subservient to others. And this country just gives you so much in terms of opportunity, right? I was asked the other day, why did I move here? And I had to stop and think about it. I actually moved here by accident. I was coming back from tour, so somewhere in the Caribbean when I was singing with Beanie Man. And me and them used to kick off all the time. So I was like having some argument with the whole entire crew of people, and I got off the plane in Miami, and I called my sister. I was like, yo, I was spending the weekend on your couch, and I just never left. So that's how I ended up here. But the reality for me was that in conversation with many of the people that I was around at that point in my life, it felt like my brain was imploding. Like I couldn't use certain words because there were too many letters in the words, or I could not eat with a knife and fork because that was offensive to somebody, and I thought I was better than them because I would eat with a knife and fork. And it just got to the point where, like, I would have conversations with people, and I would say, you guys, blah, 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 don't call me no guy. Well, you gentlemen, don't call me no gentleman. Well, you fellows, don't call me no fellow. So what can I call you? Call me youth. It's like, and these are big 40-year-old men, but it was the level of conversation that you end up coming into when you're in the music industry sometimes, right? I don't want to cast too wide on it.
Yeah, stereotype of the whole
I don't want to cast too wide on it, but in that space in my life, it was too much for me, and I had to after seeing the whole wide, this whole wide world, after traveling to Europe and Canada and all over the Caribbean and whatever, and almost every state, to go back home where I would feel like I can't have a good conversation, it was just like stifling to me. And so I moved here partly because America has so many different groups. So yeah, there are different groups of people in Jamaica, but I think we all fall into this rhythm of the same kind of foolishness. Not to say everybody is that, but the same kind of foolishness. When you come here, it's different people's foolishness. You have some Latin foolishness and some Caucasian foolishness and some African American foolishness, and it becomes this thing that broadens your mind. You start to have conversations with people who don't look and sound and act like people who you're have grown up with and are in the system that you've come from. And America. Okay, yeah, and America just, to me, is this, we say the Caribbean is a melting pot, and it is, but America is a genuine melting pot. I can walk down the street here, I can go to the Broward Center down the street, and there's Caucasian and Spanish and Indian and Chinese and, first generation. Like, those people are in Jamaica too, but you went to school with them and they all have the same accent. These are people who I would never have met living, living where we lived and coming from where we came from. And so for me, that's the beauty of Jamaica. It's obvious, so this is a comment from Derek Monroe that David suggested I read. It's obvious that competition and diversity had a positive effect on the US, not the opposite. Completely agreed. It seems that someone is trying to get re-elected, therefore the rhetoric and the double-downness is being ramped up. I completely agree with you. I think that closed mind, and this is scaring me a little bit, right? That there's a closed-mindedness that was happening that ran me out of Jamaica that I'm starting to see here now. People don't want to know anything more than what is on this one channel. Like if you're a CNN watcher, you might watch some Fox, you might watch some MSNBC. If you're on this side only, you're not coming over here. If you're on that side only, you're not coming over there. And it makes it very difficult to find middle ground and to do the type of compromise that made America great in the first place.
Ooh. When was America great and when did it not become great?
I don't know when it didn't become great. I mean, it became less great year before last, I think, in my estimation.
Yeah.
The views of Calibe are not the views of this platform.
I would say that, yeah, there have been some unfortunate things, but America has not become ungreat all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the references to great were actually accurate, because a lot of the times that people may thought have been great were times of great strife in this country. So let's be very careful.
I think when we're tearing children away from their parents, I think when we're coming out of climate accords, I think when we are alienating our friends and embracing dictators and genocidal murderers, I think we are less great. I do think we're less great.
Again, but the we here is who? The president?
So you're saying the president is not America.
I don't think he is.
But the president represents America.
Right, but it doesn't make America not great. It makes the president not great. But that everyone can see that. That's all clear.
America supporting this. Apparently, he has over a 50% approval rating right now. I believe that's the last number that I heard. Which means to me that America supports what is happening. And when we start to think that way, or when we start to become so numb or oblivious to what we're doing to people or what we're doing to ourselves or how we're setting ourselves up for failure, I do think it makes us a little less great. I don't know, what do you think, guys? Feedback is always awesome. Sian says over 50% according to who, right? Barrett? I don't remember what I saw it on, so don't quote me. I'm not, I don't have any data and statistics in front of me. I do remember hearing it on some newscast the other day, and somebody just incredulously like, oh my gosh, are these numbers real? So I can't tell you what poll it was from or whatever, but there are a lot of oblivious Americans. What you gonna do?
We're gonna have the Island Origins live show to talk about what's going on. That's what we're gonna do.
All right. So speaking of Island Origins, let's move on from this Debbie Downer stuff, and let's talk about, because I don't think we have. Have we talked about the new issue?
No.
Well, it's not so new
before we
anymore.
do that, again, welcome to everyone watching. I see Shauna Whittingham has joined us, and Shauna, if you would, I would actually ask you to please place. I know you guys have a wonderful talk show that's live on Facebook as well, or maybe not as live as ours, but maybe it's live on another platform. But if you can just, Shauna, share your links here so that people can also know about your show. You guys, when is that? Is it Thursday evenings? When is your show? I think that should be something we can talk about. But now we're going to talk about Island Origins magazine.
Okay,
talk to me.
I don't know about that one. Okay.
You don't know Shauna's show?
I don't know Shauna.
The Edge.
Hi Shauna, The Edge.
The Edge, Caribbean Edge, is that the name, Shauna? Wednesday, so it's Wednesday, so tomorrow.
Okay.
Who is Calibe? This beautiful lady beside me.
Who is Vivalin? Hi Vivalin. Hi Ward.
Okay, so Ward says CNN had this afternoon at 43%. Yes, it is a Caribbean Edge. Oh, I got it right. Yes.
David got it right.
Yeah, you're not trying to put the link if you can to your guys' thing. So okay, Island Origins magazine. If you haven't got one yet,
you need to get it.
You need to get it.
Get out the loop.
We actually, I think I can say, have done something that's spectacular. I don't like to be the one saying that I did spectacular, but trust me, I can say this because I didn't really do the magazine. So it's not like I'm saying something I did.
The team did it. So
the team did it, and
yes. The president did it, so America did it.
I am a big part of the Island Syndicate, thus Island Origins team, but I'm not directly responsible for the magazine. But the magazine is very good. It's smooth. It is so smooth. It's not just the texture of the paper. It's the articles. You guys got to read this magazine. Sienna, are you here? Right? Who made those tacos? I don't know the name of the chef. He actually came from what's the name of that thing?
Somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down that road.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you too much.
Yeah, so you can subscribe. If you go to islandoriginsmag.com/subscribe, you can actually have it mailed to your home 4 times a year right now. We have been discussing increasing the frequency, but you can do a 4-issue subscription right now on the website. And if you want to just have a look through the digital copies, you can go to issue.com, issuu.com. /Island Syndicate. That's the name of our company, not the name of the magazine. So it's Island Syndicate on issue.com. That's where you can subscribe. And this issue, I mean, if you saw the last one, it was the Wyclef. So that was the Wyclef cover. That was the entertainment issue. We did the culinary issue this time, the food issue, specifically because we were coming up on the Tasty Islands experience again, which we've already talked about, talked it to death, so I won't keep going with that. But this was a fun issue to put together, just because for me, of my background with Tasty Islands, the television show, where we had to do quite a bit of research on the food that's presented. So you'll see Chef Irie or Chef Tia cooking, whatever it is. See, and if you ever become one of the chefs on our show, you'll have to do this as well. But we theme each episode. So if it's Dutch Caribbean food, you have to figure out what a Dutch Caribbean meal might look like. Or if it's, we're doing a, Bridgetown to something another, you have to go figure out what Barbadians, like to cook. There you go. And so we took that kind of information. This particular article, Eat Like an Islander, we actually have like what is the national dish from each island and a little bit about it and a picture of it and what have you. A lot of the recipes you can find on the Tasty Islands website as well. But the stories in here, the tidbits of information, all that stuff has to do with food. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second, because you contributed to one of the articles. You always write the restaurant review section, but you contributed to one of the articles with Sean Paul. Do you remember it? You don't even remember that.
No, I do remember. So big up to Sonia Morgan, who actually is my good brethren, sister, and who actually wrote the story. But I conducted the interview of Mr. Paul.
Mr. Paul.
So yeah, I did contribute.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Dirty. Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah, and so we couldn't understand a word that they were saying, because when Jamaican people get into a room together, they start this colloquial dialect, racha, as we would say, the patois, and so the story almost had to be translated and then packaged in a nice way. But you got some interesting information out of him. I mean, I wish we could use it as a podcast. Maybe we can. Maybe we
have to embrace, if you guys believe we should embrace our Jamaican dialect, please endorse us in the comments below, because I believe that we should allow our colorful dialect to be free. I do understand and agree that some people won't understand, and I do also believe that because we have great, brilliant writers who are able to translate and so give us a great story, that we have the best of both worlds.
Okay. So I'll give you that, right? I'll give you that. Yes, it can work for our niche audience. But going into another topic now, another hot topic as far as I'm concerned.
Hot topic
as far as I'm concerned. Even our music, the plays that we do, the television, the movies, the films, everything, because we want to embrace our dialect and embrace, we need to embrace who we are. I always endorse embracing who we are, but the more you keep it in the little niche audience that only you and these set of people can understand it, is the less you're actually sharing,
Agreed.
If you want to reach further, you got to do it in a way that everybody can understand.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. We need to make sure that we do closed captions and have the subtitles.
Sean Henry, watch your language. Tony Benzino says yes, podcast it. It would be a really good. It would be a good podcast. That was an interesting conversation, and there was a lot more in there than what ended up in the article. I didn't know Sean Paul used to swim for Jamaica and all that kind of stuff. So there were some tidbits in there that I didn't know. You probably know because you and him were friends from a long time. But have you ever? Okay, so here are some more questions coming in. Who made those? Okay,
yes, we've had Haitian black rice. Believe me, I've tried every Haitian dish. The whole of them nice. The whole of them. The only time I would have any complaint about Haitian food, it's not a real complaint, but the only time is the flavor is always on point, but sometimes it's overdone till it's a little dry. That's the only complaint I've found with Haitian cooking.
Jamaican food sometimes too.
True, I didn't observe Jamaica from doing the same thing. True, that's about Haitian food. Good on the sorry, no patois. Let me say, the Haitian food, it's turned up. Turned up. It's not in a ton up like the patois would be. It's turned up. It's very. Yes.
All right.
Thanks, word.
Thanks, Thanks, Lord. Yeah, man. So some of the stuff that you found, and I'm happy to give Red Stripe a plug because they really came out for us at the event. They
Definitely,
like,
Red Stripe, big ups. About 70 kids are Red Stripe.
Red Stripe for years, right?
Yeah,
so
man.
we definitely did not run out of Red Stripe at the event. And they're right beside an article that was done on the recipe for success. So for those of you who are thinking about starting a restaurant business, which I know many of us in the Caribbean community.
Don't do it. If you're thinking about starting a restaurant, David's advice, don't do it.
I'm not going to agree with that because there are some people who are doing it very successfully. Bear in mind they found the formula, right? But they're doing it very successfully. They've actually created a formula so there's some consistency and they do their marketing and they're doing a good job. But they talk to you about that in here. The recipe for success, we actually spoke to 2 or 3 restaurateurs who have done well, some who have not done so well.
But on that note, I think that if you're going to start a restaurant, you should also read Cow Foot by Candlelight because it speaks to the same topic from a different perspective. So read that article. See it here on the cover?
Yeah.
Cow Foot by Candlelight. It's a boss article, that one too. Big up to G.
It is.
Do they have alcohol-free Red Stripe? Yes, they do. It's called water.
Oh my God.
No, they don't have any.
Oh my God.
What's the new one that they have though? They have a Red Stripe now.
The sorrel?
Sorrel Red Stripe.
I don't think it's new anymore.
Oh, sorry.
We're out the loop. There's Red Stripe Light, yes, but that's not.
It's not alcohol-free. It's just light.
And then
in calories.
from me, Adrian, who is always on here on live with us, said that when she read this article, she cried. So this is our dear
avoid
friend.
the articles that make you cry.
Don't avoid the article. It was touching, right? Our dear friend Chef Tia has gone through some huge struggles and challenges in her life. She actually has a book that she wrote called Ordeals, where she talks about her assault and actually having a son, based on as a product of the person who raped her. And she talks about surviving that, how much she loves her son. She's a staunch Christian. She went through it with her family, telling her to we'd say in Jamaica, dash with the belly, to have an abortion. She, as a Christian, could not live with herself, with a decision like that. And so she decided to have her son. He is the love of her life. She has 3 beautiful children now. She is so happy that she made the decision she made, but for the longest time, the things that she, the rough thoughts she was having in her head and all that kind of stuff. So that article is called Cook, Pray, Dance. It's really a touching one. You do want to read it.
My turn.
Says. Go ahead.
My turn. Read this one. This is the best story in the whole magazine.
Oh my God. All right, go ahead.
No?
It's the best.
There you go. It says written by David Muir, photography by David Muir. That you got to read that one, people. Now, I'm joking. You don't have to, but
He's not joking.
I will tell you that
He's not joking.
I did this food review of Yarumba Restaurant and Lounge with Chef Danny, and I would tell you genuinely, as a food lover, that you must give yourself the opportunity to taste the food at Yarumba. It is divine. It is probably, I'm going to put myself out there, it's probably the best Caribbean restaurant I've been to in all of South Florida.
Are you trying to lose every food sponsor that we
I'm
ever
not trying to lose everyone. I'm talking truth.
Oh my God.
Everyone who believes that there's a better one, invite me to come and try your food. But I'm going to tell you, I do believe that is the best, straight up, honest, real talk.
So we have 2 minutes left.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going to show you.
Rambling.
Like we have, of course we ramble, that's what we do. We have, the stalwart sections in here. So we have our interior design section. We have our, Taste the Islands where it's, David's restaurant review. We have the travel segment. We did some honeymoon and travel kind of things for the travel segment this time around. And I'm going to say, if you have a restaurant, we're actually currently still not charging for the restaurant listings.
We're not?
Currently.
We need to be charging
we
for
do
the
need
restaurant
to,
listing.
but you can screech it in the meantime. So if we don't have you in here and you actually have, stuff that's good stuff, please go ahead and reach out to us. If you have a business that you'd like to advertise in here, please go ahead and reach out to us as well. And what time is it? Oh, let's see. Is there a
there's a burning question in here.
Yes.
And there's a couple of other comments too.
Yes.
Thanks for saying you enjoyed the show, Kay. We appreciate that.
What can we do about the pirates who capitalize off the Jamaican name only to open restaurants with them taste bad food? You know what? Cultural appropriation, culinary appropriation is gonna happen. We open Italian restaurants in Jamaica and don't know anything about that, or Chinese, or like. I think let people do what they're doing. If they're a bad restaurant, they're gonna close down. If they're a good restaurant, they will remain open, and that's the bottom line. I don't think we should stop people from trying to imitate who we are. Imitation is the best form, the sincerest form of flattery. That's my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me now go down the road there.
No artist listings,
Mr.
Sean.
Mr. Henry, sorry, not yet.
Not
but
yet.
we do have an area called ads where anyone, artist or otherwise, can advertise their services or their products by simply taking an ad. We have reasonably priced ads for a quarter page. You can get a special deal under $1,000. It's fantastic. So definitely contact us. For those who don't know, I'm Mr. Sexy Man. My number is 954-2SEXY. Just give me a call and no, I'm joking. But it's 954-200-5110. Or you can just look me up on Facebook. I have my information very open to the public. Yeah. So
I don't, but you can just support at Island Syndicate Works. And yeah, it's 8 o'clock, so I think we're. Oh look, somebody subscribed.
Woo!
Somebody subscribed to the magazine. Thank you, whoever that was. I think that was somebody that asked about it earlier. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the comments about the show being good. We really appreciate your sincere love of what we're doing.
Yeah, man. And we will be back next week. We hope to continue to grow what we're doing. I think we're going to stay scaled back for a little while we just, regain composure after the flurry of activity that's been going on.
The Taste the Islands experience did take us on a journey.
A lot of mercy.
So, yes.
And then the trip to Jamaica was another lot of mercy, right? So
yeah. So cool. Yeah. Everybody, good night. One love.
I'm Calibe.
I'm Sexy Man. We are
out of here. I have to, because we're lo-fi right now.
Yeah, we're lo-fi. So you have to go turn off the screen. Bye everybody.
Guys.